Hey guys, Weeby News here, and today we're going to be discussing Danganronpa Unlimited Battle, a very short-lived battle game featuring the cast from the first two Danganronpa games. It was a mobile game that was playable for only 9 months and never received a Western localization. On top of this, all the trailers posted by Spike Chunsoft have been deleted, and similarly, many articles discussing it have been removed as well, which I thought was kind of weird. But yeah, before we get into the video, please do leave a like and a comment and subscribe if you enjoy this type of trivia content. That kind of stuff really does help me out a lot with the algorithm. Plus, it also lets me know what you guys are interested in. But yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Danganronpa Unlimited Battle was developed by Spike Chunsoft, and it was a collectible card-based RPG for both iOS and Android. It was actually a reskin of a previous mobile game that Spike had released called Kinkabancho Crash Battle. Similar to the Danganronpa version, that game was a spin-off themed after a Spike Chunsoft franchise, Kinkabancho Badass Rumble. The Danganronpa reskin launched on January 7th of 2015 on iOS and was later released on Android on April 17th of 2015. It was a free-to-play mobile game, but as you can probably already guess, it was in fact a gacha game. You could even say that it was the original Danganronpa gacha game. The way it worked was that the game featured around 600 cards ranging from 1 star to 6 stars, increasing in power based on their rarity. You would collect these cards through either gameplay events or by visiting the in-game gacha machine. Once you've obtained the card, you can use a chibi 3D model of the character in battle. And aren't they just so cute? Each card had different stats and special moves as well. In total, there were 5 types: water, wind, fire, light, and dark. The effectiveness of the card's element would depend on their type matchup against enemy characters. So for example, fire was likely weak to water, then so on and so forth. After reaching their max level, cards could also be evolved to increase their power. Once the card was evolved, a color flame would appear in the background. The most common cards featured sprites from the cast of Danganronpa 1 and Danganronpa 2. The more rare cards featured more unique art. For example, illustrations by Rui Komatsuzaki, previously featured in magazine promotions or merchandise, images from the Danganronpa animation anime, or art from the characters' in-game cutscenes. The battles in the game resemble a pinball machine. You would pull back your character and then fire them towards your desired location. When you release them, they would ricochet around the game board and cause damage to enemies by colliding into them. And then on the enemy's turn, they would fire back the same way. It was honestly such a missed opportunity to not include Ball Monokuma in this game. It would have been hilarious if that was like the most powerful and rare card in the game. And you know, it would like canonically make sense since the action uses like pinball mechanics. There were also power-ups scattered across the game board that you could obtain to boost your stats, such as speed, strength, aim, or HP. Each character also had a special move that could be activated after a certain number of turns as well. After defeating enemies, you could collect in-game rewards such as EXP boost cards, stat boost cards, and currency, aka monocoins, which could be used to purchase gacha rolls. Each mission in the game had several of these arenas with enemies in them that were then followed by a boss. There also appeared to be a cooperative mode as well, where you could play with 4 people at once. It seems like the game was well received at first. It was reported that just a few months after its release in May of 2015, there were over 700k user accounts. Several gaming journalists reviewed it as well. Most expressed similar sentiments that the game was just kind of a strange choice to add to the franchise. The main series is a story-driven murder mystery game, while this one was a co-op action pinball game with no story whatsoever. This aside, some did express that the gameplay was pretty fun. A writer from Kotaku mentioned that although the gameplay was repetitive, it did require some level of skill, which made it decently fun. But unfortunately, like I mentioned before, the game was only available for 9 months. The online servers were turned off on November 13th of 2015, and it was also removed from the app stores. From what I've seen, Spike Chunsoft never gave an official reason as to why the game was taken down. If I had to guess though, it was likely because it wasn't making enough money to justify what they were paying for the server it was hosted on. From what I've seen online, the price of hosting one of these games can change a lot depending on how high the graphics are, how many users are playing it, etc. In May of 2015, there were 700k users registered, but I'm sure only a small percentage of them were actually playing regularly. Like those journalists mentioned, this was a really strange endeavor for the creators to try out. The fans of Danganronpa enjoy it for the story, the mysteries, the characters, and the appeal of this game was instead action and strategy, a totally different genre. So I think there's a pretty good chance that a lot of people who are fans of Danganronpa downloaded the game, but lost interest pretty quickly once they realized there was no significant story or new character interactions. Then when you think about the percentage of active users, there's probably an even smaller percentage of people who are actually willing to pay for the gacha aspects. and I'm guessing it just wasn't enough people. Another thing I find interesting to think about is how this game may have influenced the release of Danganronpa S. I thought it was really weird that Danganronpa S was a gacha game that you also had to purchase. But if this, the first free-to-play Danganronpa gacha game, failed to create a profit, then it makes sense that they wouldn't want to take the risk again by making Danganronpa S free-to-play too. Of course, I still think it would have been a lot less scummy to just sell Danganronpa S as a normal game and not allow in-game purchases, but that's just me. I just really dislike the pay-to-win model, especially in a game you already pay for. But yeah, I just wanted to mention it since I thought this might be interesting to bring up. I think another important thing to keep in mind is that this was released right after Ultra Despair Girls was released in Japan. It was actually around this time that I first joined the fandom, and it was way smaller, especially in the West. I'm really curious to know how well this game would do if they released it now, or if they released it in 2020 when the series was peak in its popularity, especially over here. I could see it potentially doing a lot better if they released it now, but at the same time, I'd rather them just make a fighting game. I kind of wonder if this game performing poorly is also the reason why we haven't gotten a fighting game yet, since I've seen people in the fanbase requesting that since like V3 released. And again, it kind of makes sense because if this battle game did poorly, then I can see why they might be hesitant to make an action-based Danganronpa game. Granted, Danganronpa S did have action elements to it, but it also had a ton of like character interactions in it as well, which I think is what most people were looking forward to. So maybe if we do get that Danganronpa fighting game one day, they'll add in like character interactions to make it have a broader appeal to the audience. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I just kind of thought it was interesting. When I first ran into this, I was so confused because I'd heard so many people asking for a fighting game, and I was like, wait, there was a fighting game already? But once I looked into it, it's a lot different than I think what most people are requesting. Since I think most people who want a fighting game want it to be like a 1v1 fighting game like Jump Force or something like that. But it's still pretty interesting that this was actually a thing. But yeah, what do you guys think? Would you have been interested in playing this game? Do you think it might have done better if it was released later and worldwide? Let me know in the comments section below. And yeah, thanks again guys for watching this video. Please do leave a like and a comment and subscribe if you did enjoy it. Like I said, that kind of stuff helps me out a lot. And yeah, I will see you guys real soon.